you. Improv has a special place in my heart. About 3 years ago, I'm trying to talk my wife into taking a 3-day-long improv class with me. I think this will be perfect for Gail and I because she has a great sense of humor and we both love comedy, but Gail has stage fright and she's reluctant. So I really start selling this. I say, you'll love it, and it's at Second City in Chicago. It's like the comedy center of the universe. And it's also they'll just teach us about improv techniques and what happens behind the scene to make things funny. And it'll be like improv appreciation class. You won't even have to get on stage or act. Now, I never lied to my wife, never before this. But this is the one time I think it's worthwhile because this is really important to me. So no stage, no acting. Gail agrees. We're going. So now we're in Chicago, and the class is not at all as I had described it. Within the very first few minutes, the instructor has us up on the stage and improvising. Gail is trying to do her best interpretation of a disco dancing Frosty the Snowman. Like, coming to life, ho, 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 coming to life. And I think it's great and hilarious, but Gail is shooting looks like daggers across the stage at me where I'm trying to improvise Santa on a skateboard. So we get through the 3 days, and I love it, and Gail has some fun with it, but afterwards she comes up to me and she says, that's the last time I'm doing improv. From now on, I'm just a fan and a spectator. Well, that was 3 years ago. Fast forward to last year at this time, and Gail's father, who's 90 years old and is lovingly known by everyone in the family as Pop, is in the hospital with pneumonia and serious heart problems and increasing dementia. Pop is a wonderful human being. Every word that comes out of his mouth sounds like encouragement or appreciation or humor. And we don't know it then, but these are going to be the last few weeks of Pop's life. So Pop has done very well for the last 8 years in assisted living, but he has increasing short-term memory loss. But now in the hospital with new and more medications, it gets worse to the point where he's often confused and disoriented, which causes him to be uncharacteristically fearful and testy. And at the same time, Gail has been in the hospital with sinus surgery, so she's not around to be able to spend time with him when he really needs her. And I am not comfortable with hospitals, and I don't do well with serious illness. I can't even watch Grey's Anatomy on TV with my family. But I'm willing to get out of my comfort zone for Pop. So I am every day at the hospital with him. The first day I come in, he is frustrated, trying to change. I walk into his room, he's trying to change the TV with a cordless phone. And he's yelling at it because it won't work. And I don't try to correct him. I just agree with him that it's not working, and I hand him the right remote, and I say, here, try this one. And then we have a good time, just a real bash fest, bad-mouthing remotes and phones and technology in general. But what I realize, it comes to me that, hey, I kind of used a little bit of my improv training there. That was kind of the yes and technique where I just agree with what he tells me and add something else to it. So when he says something like, I hate the food here is terrible, I say, yes, and that's why I smuggled you in these chocolate chip cookies. And we continue like that. One morning I come into to his room and he says that, you know what, I was watching a special on ESPN last night, and turns out that both I and Arnold Palmer, this was about him, the professional golfer, and we were both born in Pennsylvania and we were both the same age. And I said, yes, and you're both good golfers. And then he continues on, yeah, and we were not only born, we were both born and died on the same dates. Both died on the same dates? I don't know how to yes and that one. So I just agree that that's interesting. And so anyway, a few days later, Pop's discharged from the hospital. And Gail gets better, so she can start spending time with him. So I tell her about my yes and experiences, and she gives it a try, and it works well for her too. So this is great. Improv is helping us help Pop. And despite the fact that Gail felt like a fish out of water when we were doing it, now she's taken this yes and skill and turned this torture into treasure. Well, a few days go by, and Gail comes home one day after visiting her father, and she is just as happy as a disco dancing snowman because she had a great lunch with Pop, and then they had a long conversation full of yes ands, and she said she just left him as happy and in good spirits as she'd seen him in a long time. And the very next morning, we got the call. Pop passed away in his sleep. And it was a hard loss for us, but it also felt good to know that his last all the time we'd spent with him lately had been so good, and especially that last day. And that's why, for Gail and I, improv has a special place in both of our hearts.